You ever just stop and look at a simple, everyday tool and wonder, wow, who thought of that? Well, today we're doing exactly that. We're diving into a small but absolutely brilliant instrument you'll find in pretty much every hospital and first aid kit, the Lister Bandage Scissor. And trust me, the thinking behind its design is way cleverer than you might think.
So let's get right to it. Take a look at this pair of scissors. One blade is sharp, as you'd expect. But the other one, it has this very specific, blunt, rounded tip. It's the first thing you notice, and it's there for a super important reason. So why? Why would you design a pair of scissors to be only half sharp? And there it is. That's the answer. Just imagine for a second you're trying to cut a bandage that's taped down tight against someone's skin, maybe near a fresh wound. If you used a normal pair of sharp-tipped scissors, well, the risk of poking, prodding, or even cutting the patient is incredibly high. This whole design is about solving that one very high-stakes problem. Okay, so that brings us to our first big idea, how this tool is specifically engineered for safety. This isn't just any old pair of scissors. It's a solution that was built from the ground up for one critical purpose. So what are these things officially? Lister Bandage Scissors are medical instruments with one main job: cut through stuff like gauze and bandages without, and this is the key part, without hurting the patient. That blunt lower tip is designed to just glide smoothly and safely right under the dressing. No jabbing, no accidents. What's really cool is how a few different features all work together here. Yeah, the blunt tip is the star of the show, obviously, because it protects the skin. But look at the blades. They're angled. This lets the user cut almost parallel to the skin without having to bend their wrist into some awkward position. And to top it off, the finger loops are designed for a solid, steady grip, even with gloves on. It's like the perfect trio of safety-focused design. And all of this really hammers home a critical point in the medical world. Not all tools are created equal. I mean, you wouldn't use a kitchen knife for surgery, right? Using the right instrument isn't just a good idea, they can be the difference between a good outcome and a bad one. This table breaks it down perfectly. You've got your operating scissors, which are for super delicate tissue work. Then you have utility scissors, or trauma shears. Those are the heavy-duty beasts for cutting through jeans or seatbelts. Nurses' scissors are kind of like compact all-rounders. But for that one specific job of safely taking a bandage off someone's skin, only the Lister design with that unique blunt tip and that clever angle is the perfect tool for the job. Alright, so we get the design, we know why it's so special. Now, let's talk about the people who rely on this tool every single day. These things aren't just sitting in a drawer somewhere, they're being used constantly by experts in some pretty intense situations. We're talking about the real front lines of healthcare. Nurses doing their rounds on the ward, doctors in clinics, paramedics arriving at an accident scene, and even caregivers looking after a loved one at home. And because so many people need them, you will find these scissors literally everywhere. From the ER in a major hospital to the first aid kit you've got under your sink. Their use is so widespread because the problem they solve is something we all might face. And using them the right way is what makes them so effective. It's a really simple and elegant process. First, you just slide that blunt end right under the bandage. Then, you angle the sharp cutting blade slightly up and away from the skin. And finally, you just cut with a slow, steady motion. It's a technique that just minimizes risk and makes the whole process quick and efficient. But here's the thing, and I think this is the coolest part, this tool is more than just a clever piece of engineering. It actually represents a whole philosophy, a culture of care that puts the patient's safety and comfort above everything else. Think about it. When you're dealing with someone who's injured or sick, their comfort, their peace of mind, that's just as important as the physical treatment. Every little thing you can do to reduce their pain or their fear makes a huge, huge difference. And this comparison just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, without this tool, you've got a real risk of hurting the skin, which of course is going to stress out the patient and just slow everything down. But with Lister scissors, it is a completely different story. The process is smooth, it's comforting, it's faster, way more precise, and it just sends a message of safety and confidence to the person you're caring for. That's a game changer, especially in an emergency. Now, of course, to provide that level of professional care, the tool itself has to be high quality. We're talking high-grade stainless steel that's durable and can be sterilized, a comfy handle that doesn't cause fatigue, and a blade that stays sharp for a clean, effortless cut. At the end of the day, quality tools are a huge part of quality care. I think this quote from our source material just sums it all up perfectly. Lister Bandage Scissors aren't just a functional object. They are a tool that represents care, a promise of precision and a symbol of the trust between a patient and the person looking after them. So the next time you see a pair of these scissors, you won't just see a tool. You'll see the thought, the empathy that's literally built into the steel. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple, everyday objects out there have a hidden genius that keeps us safe? I bet once you start looking, you'll see them everywhere.